Hey backers and boarders, welcome back to the BentBox Comics YouTube channel. My name is Chris. Glad to have you back on this Friday morning. I am extremely tired and I figured I would try and make a little instructional video, or maybe almost just a discussion type video. So the last video I did went pretty well. I had some engagement and had some people ask some questions about the aphantasia thing. I don't know much about it. I never did a ton of research into it, just surface level research. Not as much research as I did in the Van Gogh when I wrote Artificial, but research nonetheless. That said, I figured today we could talk about my experiences at the last con. So I went to, and I mean a lot of these videos have been con related, but that's just because I've been very busy at cons lately. I've been having a lot of fun, meeting a lot of new people. Hopefully some of you watching right now are new fans because of the con. If you are, please comment below and say, it was fun seeing you at Siesta Con or Con at the Arcade. And so the last con was Siesta Con, which was this past Saturday in Sarasota, Florida. It was the first time I've been. Apparently this is only their second time running the con. It was kind of like a mid-range con. It wasn't anything massive like, Tampa Bay Comic Con or anything like that, but it was definitely larger than the majority of venues we do, just because locally really all there is hotel convention centers or conference rooms, I should say. So there's really not a ton of large events locally. There are a couple, but this is definitely more on the larger end that we've done. And it was a lot of fun. I honestly, we did pretty well. Obviously we always, everyone wishes they did better, but we did do pretty well. I was happy with the turnout. I was happy with the interactions we had, and all around a great experience. Can't wait to go back next year. All that aside, all the great experiences we had at Siesta Con aside, I kind of want to discuss some things that Jeff Morris, so he's the author of True Believer. He lives in St. Pete. He came down to join us at the con to bring some True Believer books because we had actually already sold out, which is great. So that we could maybe sell some more at the con, maybe get him to sign some copies, kind of almost do an author signing. And also, I needed help. I didn't have any help again, so it was another solo con, but thankfully Jeff Morris came to the rescue, so shout out to you, bro. Thank you. But as we started doing, the typical salesmanship of a con, I don't know how many of you out there are creators and have actually been to a con or tabled at a con. I don't know how many out there are readers that enjoy going to cons, and you see your favorite vendor there. So some of this might apply to all of you depending, but we'll see. Primarily this is more of a creator type video. We went to the con, we had a great time, and typically as you're going about your day, you're selling, obviously, because unfortunately the whole point of being at a con, other than meeting you lovely people, is to make a little money. As we were trying to make money, we were developing our pitches for most of our comics. So a lot of our comics, we actually have a very solid pitch already set. For example, Artificial. Artificial, if someone's looking at it, I pick it up and I go, this is Artificial. It's Vincent Van Gogh versus AI zombies. The average reaction after I utter those words is, what? And so, I think the pitch is fine with that one. Don't need to tweak it a ton. But I still go into a little bit more once they go like, oh man, that's pretty cool. Then I go, yeah, it's kind of like an sci-fi action adventure comedy. A fun group of characters being thrown, kind of like a fish out of water story, into this futuristic post-apocalyptic AI hellscape where they save the world, hopefully. So that typically reels them in, and 9 times out of 10, if I can get all those words across and they're sitting there looking at the pages, I get a sale. Similarly, we have pitches like John's The Last One. We kind of pitch that as more of a Star Wars meets Harry Potter, and then I've started to throw in like Lovecraftian monsters involved with like a trial, and it's like got gore and action, and it's also our largest book or largest single issue, so it's more bang for your buck. Typically, if I can get all those out, and you mentioned some of your buzzwords like high fantasy with elves and magic. If you can get all those out and the person's interested in elves and magic and high fantasy, typically I can get a sale. Same with Wingless, same with Blossom, same with even Orium. So this is where we started noticing that we were trying to figure out how to pitch Jeff's book, True Believer. So if you're unfamiliar with True Believer, it's 3 short stories on grief based on some of Jeff's past experiences and some stories that he kind of just fleshed out as he was working through his own grief. It's a beautifully well done book. The art's fantastic. The stories are engaging. And I typically will tag on at the end of a pitch like, this one will make you cry. But we were kind of noticing that it was kind of getting difficult to pitch it. Or at least we didn't have a very solid pitch down that we were comfortable with. It did kind of seem like we were just throwing a lot of buzzwords at them and trying to get a feel for if they'd be interested or not, and trying to reel them in some way, shape, or form. So that is the case with a couple of our books, specifically True Believer. One of the newest ones, Ash by Dan Loeb, is a historical fiction. I think I've pinpointed the pitch for that because it's about the climbing boys in early England, and so I think I have a solid pitch, and I was seeing interest as I pitched it. I think what we decided to go with, and it ended up proving beneficial in the long run, and this is the kind of like discussion side of this video, is especially if you have a decent amount. So one of the things we pride ourselves on at BentBox is having high quality books, and also we have pretty much anything for everybody. We have high fantasy, modern fantasy. There was a lady there who bought one of the books who said, "Man, see, I'm going to forget it." And I told her I really liked how she put it, but it was basically like realistic fantasy, but that wasn't the term, or fantasy realism, something like that. And that's when I pitched her Worlds Forgotten, because it's technically set in current events or like modern day. So, we have pretty much everything. We have sci-fi, we have historical, we have drama, we have horror, we have noir, superheroes, technically with wingless. We have Blossom, everything. So that's something that we definitely pride ourselves in, is having this insanely diverse group of books that span every genre. Now, if you're at a con or just trying to pitch yourself online or, in the grocery store, and you have such a long list of books or spanning so many genres, I don't know how many people have this problem, but we technically have it. It's a bit of a problem. I wouldn't really call it a problem. It's a nice problem to have, is to have this many books. But when you're pitching, it tends to be a laundry list, and you have to rattle off everything. You're like, this over here is this, and this over here is this, and if you like this, this is this, and this is this. And you slowly just data dump on your reader or your potential fan or just the regular Joe Schmo walking by. We noticed this wasn't exactly the best approach. And it was mainly credit to Jeff, because I think once we started really like focusing on genre, and he started pitching True Believer as a drama and being like, if you like drama, this is over here, or detective stories. So he started kind of getting into the real niche of it. We started seeing more interest. So we slowly started switching our pitch to genre-based. And by this, I mean, we were already kind of pitching genre by saying, Artificial is a sci-fi. It's a Vincent Van Gogh versus AI zombies. It's our sci-fi book. So we're already focused on genre in that point, but we took a step back and went even broader with it, to where if anyone showed interest in our books or in our table, we engaged with them in a way to where the conversation started with hey, what are you into? What kind of genre interests you? That allowed the customer or the reader to kind of pick where they wanted to go. So it's a choose your own adventure Comic-Con experience. So they would, we had a lot of people who said, "Oh, I love fantasy. I'm big into like fantasy." I was like, "Okay, you know what? I have the perfect book for you. Come check out The Last Wand. Come check out Worlds Forgotten." And you would kind of pitch them, not against each other, but like the pros and cons, or not even the pros and cons. You know what I'm trying to say? Like what differentiates them between the two of them, but that they're still in the realm of, or the genre of, fantasy. Then I didn't really feel the need to data dump on them. Artificial, True Believer, Blossom, Wingless. You kind of stick to what they're interested in. Now, would it be amazing if we could find a way to get past their normal genre that they love into something new and introduce them into noir, Orium, or sci-fi artificial? Yes, and there's still a place for that, and that's specifically like more of an upsell situation. At least that's how I've experienced it, and it seemed to work best as like an upsell. But as we started working through our day, we noticed that if you're really pinpointed and you really make it about their experience and their likes and dislikes, I feel like that human connection that you're able to hit allowed us to make more sales. And unfortunately, this all sounds very like commercial or like consumerism, but to be fair, we're trying to sell our books. But at the end of the day, I definitely am looking at gaining a new fan or a new follower or a new reader. But the only way for them to really do that is if they buy one of our books and read it. So it is just, that's kind of the dichotomy of the situation. And just like fantasy, we had a lot of people say, oh, I love sci-fi, I like anything like robots or AI or anything like that. Okay, let me make this the easiest pitch I've ever done in my entire life. Let me introduce you to artificial. Once again, as long as I could get from point A to point B there of like, what's your favorite genre? Oh, I like sci-fi. I made a sale. So all this to say is that we had a ton of fun at our con. We learned a lot at our con, and we kind of changed the way we went about approaching customers and changed the way we sold our product or pitched our product. And by product, I mean our work of art, our comic books. I know some people have an issue calling it a product, but I'm sorry, it's technically a product. And then that leads me to a comment or an interaction I had online with a fellow creator where we mentioned ways of marketing. And one of the things that they specifically said they do not do is conventions. Now, I totally understand that from a indie point of view, to where sometimes these large conventions, they don't really work out in your favor. You know, typically at a Comic-Con, you're going to get your people who want Pikachu, they want, you know, Marvel, they want DC, they want Dark Horse, they want all those guys. But then again, you don't even see those at those conventions. You just see the resellers or selling, you know, old issues and coveted collectibles and stuff like that. You got your Funko Pops, you got your Pokemon, you know, that's just how cons have kind of evolved, especially the large ones, and the small ones. But from what I've noticed is there are benefits to going to a con that you aren't going to get anywhere else. And I get it. If you're an introvert, like my wife, like John, who wrote Wingless, and he's notorious for being an introvert, but you know, I kind of was able to break him out of his shell a bit, and we had a ton of fun at these cons, and we were able to engage and interact with other readers and customers. That part of a con is just, it's invaluable. Being able to put your book in front of someone and seeing their eyes light up, seeing a little twitch of a smile in the corner of their mouth, hearing feedback from them in real time is just something that you're not going to get anywhere else. You're not going to get it online. You're not going to get it from a Kickstarter campaign. Now, you will get feedback, and it's also invaluable and very helpful from those things like Kickstarter or just Instagram posts or anything like that, where you can interact with people. But the organic meet and greet, live taste test of your books is something you shouldn't miss. Now, if you're one of those indie creators who's killing it and has no reason to step outside your house to sell your books, feel free to not do that. There's no reason to, technically. But like BentBox, the brand, it's one of the ways that we bring some of the people who we've brought on, like John Roscoe and Dan Loeb and Jeff Morris, how we bring their books to the public, how we interact with readers and fans, how we grow our audience has been through Comic-Cons. And it can be a huge thing for getting emails. Email blasts are an important thing. So you can get those, you make incentives. Typically, we sign people up once we get a sale. We say, no pressure. This will let you know when Artificial 3 comes out or whatever, yada, yada, yada. Go ahead and put first name and email because we're using Shopify. So it's integrated super well. So it helps also build our email list. So other than the table costs being kind of preventative, I don't see a reason not to do cons, especially if you have some local ones around. I mean, get out there, see, people. We're all stuck online, and, Twitter isn't real, and Instagram isn't real. TikTok, definitely not real. So being able to walk in front of someone and have a human interaction over a piece of artwork is something that I feel like everyone should experience, especially if you're a creator. that's pretty much it for me. Not a super long video today. Please comment below if you have any thoughts or insights on this. Have you been to cons? What are your experiences? Have you been hesitant to go to cons because you're either an introvert or that cost is kind of prohibitive of, paying for a table, going and setting up, and it's just a big undertaking. Trust me, the first couple we did were like, not necessarily shaking our boots, but we're like, oh man, we're tabling at a Comic-Con. It was kind of cool. It was like, I never thought I would do that before. And then now it's pretty much just like, sweet, Comic-Con. All the like butterflies and stuff kind of fade away, at least for me. And now it's just fun. If you're a fan or a reader, tell us if you've met us at a con, or if you enjoyed our interaction and our experience. Tell us what we did right, what we did wrong. Let us know how we can make the experience better for you, for other people. That's kind of the point. But regardless, even if none of those apply to you, comment below. You know how the algorithm is. Like, subscribe, all those fun things. But thanks again for hanging out with us on another Friday. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for everyone who supports us. We have huge plans coming, including multiple new creators that we're planning to bring on, more books, different experiences that kind of cross between different mediums. So, and new website revamp coming, so that's going to be exciting. We'll probably have another video about that with a long story attached. Can't wait. But anyway, until next time, until next week, I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Stay human. Treat each other right. And remember, Twitter isn't real. Go outside. Okay? It's not that bad. See ya.